Welcome to my channel. My name is Thomas A. Bushnell. I'm an attorney and I'm licensed to practice in Idaho, Washington, and California. I'm going to be presenting a series of videos on estate planning. Today's video is going to be on a financial power of attorney. Everybody should have a financial power of attorney. So, what are we talking about? Well, we're talking about your money and who can handle your money and help you if you become incapacitated. There's two basic types of financial power of attorneys. A springing power of attorney, which springs to life in the event that you become incapacitated, and another type, a durable, which goes into effect upon signing. Didn't write singing, that's good. Okay, so a springing and one that goes into effect upon signing. The springing power of attorney goes into effect on some event in the future happening. Normally, your incapacity. So if you become incapacitated, then this person who is your agent would be able to handle all your finances, including dealing with the IRS, the Securities Exchange Commission, the bank, the Department of Motor Vehicles, and any other financial transaction you might have. Who would you have to be your power of attorney? Well, normally it's your spouse or a significant other. And then after that, it's very important that we have an alternate. So for example, the springing one, if you become incapacitated, your wife has all the power to handle all your finances. And then if your wife, then let's say you pass away, and then your wife becomes incapacitated, then someone would have to make decisions for her. That alternate person is the most important person on here, because a husband and wife could normally handle almost all things financial for the other. But once one has passed away and the other becomes incapacitated, and something happens to mom, she becomes incapacitated, we need someone to sign some checks, to do something, and we have nobody. So now what you have to do, if you don't have a financial power of attorney, is you wait too long and then there's an emergency. So you just add the word emergency on that, and suddenly you have to do an emergency conservatorship, where this is just a few $100s. A conservatorship is like $7,000. And if you add the word emergency on it, well, it's going to be even more then. And I get those several times a year where dad has passed away, then something happens to mom, and we have no financial power of attorney. What do? Well, we have to bring the judge in. It's always on a Friday that these happen. And bring the judge in on a Friday to get him to sign an emergency conservatorship, giving the child power to make financial decisions for mom. So this is a very important document to have. The other type, the type that is effective on signing, is just a durable power of attorney for finances. Why would you have a springing as opposed to one that's goes into effect upon signing? Well, if you're younger, 50s, 60s, and your spouse is still living, well then a springing one very well may be the best choice for you. If you're older, your spouse has passed away, you're getting up there in age, maybe in your 80s, you probably want to be thinking about having a durable power of attorney that's effective upon signing. It does not take away your right to handle your finances, but would help your child, if you have one of your children being your alternate power of attorney or your financial planner. It gives them the power to work for you and do things for you in case you're not able to. Some other things to consider as we age. We want to make sure that somebody else knows what we're doing. If one spouse is controlling all the investing and all the finances, and then they pass away, often the surviving spouse is dealing with grief and confusion and has no idea where the investments are, how much they are, what the strategy is, what the plan is. You could have some mutual funds over here, you could have some bonds over here, you could have bank accounts here and here, you can have an annuity, and if your spouse doesn't know where everything's at, they're not only dealing with the grief of losing you, they're totally lost in trying to figure out where everything's at. So do your spouse a favor and make sure you've got a listing at the minimum of where everything's at, what the account numbers are, if there's passwords that your spouse can then take over and knows what's going on. Make sure they understand. Nobody plans, well, I should say very few people plan on dying. Most of us don't get the benefit of saying, oh, you got 6 months. Most of us go, boom, pretty quick. And, well, I was going to get to that, but I didn't. And now, well, it's too late. Another thing to consider is getting a financial planner. a financial, you're thinking, I've managed my investments for so many years, I'm doing just fine, I don't need any financial planner, they're gonna cut into my profits, they're gonna have loads, and they're gonna have fees, and I don't want any of that. Well, I get it, okay? But you're gonna have to, and I think it would be wise to, as you get older, to take a little less profit, have a little more expense, to have someone helping you. Not just because we could get a step slower, but if your spouse isn't really able to manage these assets, then you need someone who knows what your plan is, what you're doing, what your goals are, where everything is at, and they can help your spouse after you pass away. And also, you can consider consolidating. I've seen people have some things at Schwab and some things at Edward Jones, and you can get the same products from both companies. I would suggest, as we get older, to consolidate into one place, to simplify, to make things easier for your spouse.